they have a goal and they just fail halfway through because things get hard. When at the end of the day, you can accomplish anything you want to. It's just a matter of how hard you're willing to work in order to get it. Bottom line, whether it's the gym, whether it's business, whether it's money, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you could really get anything you want as long as you really put your fucking mind to it. And the gym is the perfect lesson for that. Whether it's building your physique, burning fat, just wanting to look good to walk on the beach. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your goals is, whether you're a competitor or a normal lifestyle person. At the end of the day, the gym is a perfect lesson in terms of the rest of our life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the SuperSetYourLife.com podcast. This is your weekly prescription of entertainment, education, and inspiration to fuel your life inside and beyond the gym. Brandon Bebo, this is your favorite pothead bodybuilder. He is a highly competitive middleweight NPC athlete and coach. We will be discussing contest prep, steroids, marijuana, coaching styles, training abs, training dogs. The passion this young man has for this sport is clearly evident in his consistent, outstanding body composition and presentation. Results of his clients from which I've seen are always in top shape, and his no bullshit, relentless, all or nothing attitude that he brings to what seems to be all area of his life, whether it's with his own workouts, bringing the best out of his competitors, even training his 2-year-old wolf, Doberman blue nose pit named Primo. Hey, Primo, see you back there, buddy. Primo has accompanied Brandon through all of his workouts, posing, and coaching sessions that I've seen of his, much like how our Australian Shepherd here, Zion, has been my teammate since she became part of our family in January 2022. Every conversation that I've had with Brandon has left me with valuable takeaways. He and I are actually competing against each other this fall, September 10th, 2022. And of course, we both want to win. But if you know the industry of bodybuilding, we're all in this together, helping and encouraging each other to be our best, a quality in Brandon's character that I respect and appreciate. It's how we learn. It's what supersetting your life is all about. Any questions that I have about my prep, whether it's about training abs, that was like the last thing that we talked about, suggestions on weight classes, proper posing techniques for a figure competitor. He's always been a phone call or a text message away and super happy to help. Brandon is what you would call a tough coach, something that you need as an athlete, as opposed to being like a nice coach who will tell you what you want to hear, not necessarily what you need to hear to be your best. So he was kind enough to allow me to observe him coaching one of his competitors through a posing session, and I was surprised to hear their harsh yet effective dynamic and their communication between each other. Brandon believes that the most irresponsible style of coaching is to tell your competitors what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. This quality has never come naturally to me personally because of my fear of hurting the feelings of those whom I love. However, he has influenced me to make a much needed shift in the way that we're pushing all of our competitors harder. And what's crazy is there's never any hard feelings when I need to give someone like a cold hard truth. The result is always a greater mutual respect and a tighter bond between coach and client. Winners respond to tough coaching if it comes from a sincere heart. None of the greatest coaches in history, any sport, are soft coaches. If you're a coach and if you're soft, your athletes are probably going to look soft on stage too. What a tragedy. What a waste of time and effort. Brandon has helped model this for me, and I'm excited to dive deep into this topic and share it with you. Also, medical disclaimer before we get started, please check with your doctor before implementing any of the topics that Brandon and I discuss on this episode. We are not medical professionals, we are athletes, and we are coaches. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brandon and Primo.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This
man.
would be my first time actually, doing this, but it's really cool because, I could talk bodybuilding all fucking day and night.
Me too, man. We got a lot in common. So let's start from the beginning, bro. Why did you start bodybuilding?
Well, I kind of grew up as like a really chubby kid. Like I noticed after puberty, pretty much is when I was just always not a fat kid, but a pretty damn chubby kid. And it was around high school when I was 14, 15, when a really good friend of mine started going to the gym. And at the time it was Bally's, now it's 24. Um, but he was going there for like 4 or 5 months. And then he started to look really good. And he was a lot bigger than me. He was a really fat kid. So he looked really good after a while. That was when you really see his frame coming out and everything. So I remember thinking, if this fat fuck could do it, then so can I. Just because him and I have always had a very competitive attitude towards each other. So whether it was video games, training, looking better, whatever the case may be. So throughout the summer of my sophomore year of high school, no, freshman year of high school, that's when I actually joined the gym. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I went to Planet Fitness because that was the only option I had at the time.
Bro.
You know,
Ah,
I
that hurts my
know,
ears just
I
hearing
know,
that.
I know. And trust me, I'm embarrassed to say it every time, but it's whatever. We all start somewhere. It's literally what I had. So I just started doing cardio, not really knowing what the hell I was doing. Just just looking over videos and everything, talking to a lot bigger guys at the gym. Eventually, ended up getting my own membership at another gym where I was able to take it more serious, take more time into it and everything. But it was really like around 17 years old was when I started taking it really serious, just due to the fact that I don't know, but just training yourself in the gym, I feel like is the one thing you could do where you could really kill yourself and physically and mentally get better from it in every way. And I feel
Mhm.
like that's the only thing in life that allows you to do that. Whereas everything else, if you go too much to the extreme, then you end up in a coffin most likely. So when everything else in my life was going to shit at the time, the only thing I really the only thing I really felt that I had control in was my training, was the gym. Whether it was how much I was eating, how much water I was drinking, how much I was sleeping, how much I was actually training, the weight on the bar, all of that I can affect and change myself. So um, with everything else going really south in my life, the gym was the one thing that helped me just get through all of it. It was my real therapy session, every day. Whether it was a rest day or not, I still found an excuse to go to the gym, even if it was just to do abs, cardio. I just liked being in there. It's honestly a second home to me, and it still is. No matter what gym I go to, as long as it's my home gym, it's pretty much my second home, and it pretty much is for this guy too because he comes with me everywhere. Um, yeah,
I feel like I wrote an autobiography that I didn't know about, or like that I forgot about or something, and you picked it up and just like read it. I mean, like literally that is my exact story, man. Everything that you just described, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the gym is like one of the only it's just the most tangible way to, if everything else in your life is going to hell, or if it feels like it is, to go in, you can do something, you can eat something, and nobody else can stop you from doing it. You can you have 100% control over what you do in the gym and what you do outside the gym, and
exactly.
and you can get tangible results. Like you can expect to lift weights, eat protein, and build muscle. That's it. It's really, really simple. It's a great way to build confidence, if you're just at a point in life where you need it.
Exactly. And that's another thing I completely forgot to mention was the whole confidence thing. Literally, and I forget about it now just because I've changed a lot over the years in terms of how I felt about myself, my confidence, ego, all of that. But when I was younger, I really didn't think anything much of myself. I didn't think I was really shit. I still don't. But at the time, just with pretty much the rest of my life going to hell, that didn't help my self esteem. So when I will go to the gym and actually see the results physically happening day by day, week by week, months over a period of months, then it would really boost my confidence because it shows like I'm proving to myself that I can actually do something once I put my mind to it at the end of the day, and that's the case with everybody because a lot of people tend to they have a goal and they just fail halfway through because things get hard. When at the end of the day, you can accomplish anything you want to. It's just a matter of how hard you're willing to work in order to get it. Bottom line, whether it's the gym, whether it's business, whether it's money, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you could really get anything you want as long as you really put your fucking mind to it. And the gym is the perfect lesson for that. Whether it's building your physique, burning fat, just wanting to look good to walk on the beach. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what your goal is, whether you're a competitor or a normal lifestyle person. At the end of the day, the gym is a perfect lesson in terms of the rest of our life.
You just summarized the entire point of like every episode of our podcast.
That's pretty funny. And even to add on to that, I mean, another thing that really helped me in terms of be who I am today is the fact that at 18 years old, I actually committed suicide, and clearly it was a failed attempt. I'm
No
still
way.
here. I'm talking to you, but yeah, I could tell you the moment exactly. It was because of a girl. Looking back, it's so stupid, but it was because of a girl, and because a lot of bullshit happened. I got cheated on. I got broken up with. All these different things that happened at once. When when you're young, you feel like you're in love with your girlfriend in high school. You think you're gonna be together forever. That's how I felt.
Yeah.
So I felt like everything was crumbling on top of that. So I actually, at the time, I had a concussion because I had gotten in a little accident. So I had a bunch of I don't remember the specific brand or the specific pill itself or the medicine, but I had like a bunch of pills, like pain medicine, and I swallowed. I remember specifically it was 24 pills, and
Ugh.
I swallowed all of it, and I went to bed thinking I wasn't gonna wake up. I woke up the next morning just really confused, uh, and then I just remember feeling extremely sick, um, and I remember vomiting like completely black. Like my vomit was like pitch black, like the color of my shirt. It was like you've ever seen the show Supernatural?
No, I haven't seen it.
No, well, a lot of your viewers have seen it, but basically when someone's possessed by a demon, at least from what I remember, when someone's possessed by a demon and they get the demon like out of them, they pretty much vomit like completely black, like just because that's the demon like exiting their body. That's how it looked to me, and it was fucking terrifying. Like when it was happening, I was just like, holy shit, but whatever. And it's events like that that really make me believe that we're all truly here for a reason, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we all have to find our purpose in life. And
Yeah. Amen.
and at that point, I figured out what my purpose was, and I wanted to do this before then, but I even wanted to do it even more then, which was the fact that I want to and I still want to. It's still a goal of mine in the very near future, but it's to open my own gym to where I encourage a lot of that, a lot of mental health. Because what, granted, I do a lot of things now. My mindset has changed over the years. Because when I was younger, I was very straight edge, narrow, don't do drugs, blah blah blah. Now now I'm very open minded when it comes to all that stuff. But when it comes to feeling down, being depressed, when your life is going to hell, I still don't understand why people turn to drugs, alcohol, all these things to make themselves feel better for a temporary period of time when they're just going to feel even shittier after, and their pockets are going to be empty just because they're going to spend all their money on it
Yep.
because they get addicted. So if you're going to get addicted to something, get addicted to fucking working out, get addicted to the gym. And that's the whole purpose of me wanting to open a gym, which was, instead of turning to substance abuse, turn to abusing your body in a good way. You know what I mean? And you could get so much better physically and mentally for it, especially since it gives you a good sense of control. Because I could tell you from experience, especially with my father growing up as a drug addict, um, a lot of it is about being in control. You know what I mean? And especially when you start to have withdrawals, you don't like, it's terrible. I've witnessed my father go through it, and it's I mean, I've never experienced it myself, but watching it, it doesn't seem like a very pleasant experience at all, obviously. So you would want to do anything to get rid of that. So you control how you feel at that point. So what do? You take whatever it is that you're addicted to. So when it comes to the gym, then do that. You know what I mean? Abuse yourself in the gym. So that was the whole purpose of me wanting to open a gym, and I still do. But when I was younger, I remember thinking, who the fuck is gonna be this guy opening a gym? Nobody's gonna know me. Um, like I don't see the purpose of opening a gym if I'm not gonna, because I've always been business minded, even as a teenager. So I remember thinking, investing opportunities, people who would invest in me. And if I'm not like known, then what's the reason for somebody investing in my company, investing in my gym or me? So that was when I had the idea of becoming a pro bodybuilder so that I have some sort of a name for myself. that when I do want to eventually open up a gym, I'm established.
Yeah.
But as the years went by, and even now, opening a gym is more of like a secondary goal. And my number one priority currently is bodybuilding, just because ever since my first show, I've decided that this is what I want to do. And the minute I stepped on stage, it was like when I as soon as those lights hit me, I see the eyes on me, and I'm the only one up on stage. It really felt like I was home. It felt like I belonged. So that's it's more of a secondary goal now, but at the end of the day, I still want to open up a gym that encourages a lot of mental health to help people, just because, like I said, my father's been a drug addict. A lot of family members of mine have been on and off of drugs constantly. I've seen people die from it. So it's really sad. Whereas if you just kill yourself in the gym, you look better, you feel better, and your life gets overall better just due to your confidence.
Absolutely. Was it yesterday that was National Depression Day, Suicide Day? I saw a meme that said, I would rather hear your story than attend your funeral. I thought that was pretty powerful.
Yes.
Also, to your point on everything happens for a reason, and we're all here with a purpose. I'm so glad that you said that, because to think that like you weren't created for a reason, and that there isn't a higher power that actually has a bigger plan and a purpose for you, and to think that we're all here by accident. We wonder why there's so many people in depressions. We wonder why, and you're telling teenage kids that you evolved from I don't know, from a monkey, and that you're literally here by accident. I don't think there's any greater tragedy than somebody not really ever living to their true potential because they just don't think that their life means anything. And we all are here for a purpose. And there's a reason that you and I are having this conversation too. There's a reason that before we started recording that I got that nasty phone call right before this podcast episode, because yeah, man, it pissed me off. It made me mad, and it's nothing I want to talk about on the air, but was able to just literally go into a rage workout and had a great workout. You know what? The rest of the day is great right now. I'm in super deep ketosis. Like my mental clarity is sharp, and it's just like rocket fuel, and the gym is just such a great place to, it's therapy for so many people.
I remember reading an article or something that in order to have like a good gym, you would need to have like at least 500,000 capital. But I again, I know this isn't something that's gonna happen overnight. It's a process. So
Yeah, we've been collecting equipment for the last couple of years, and it's like, all right, once we have at least half of our equity, then we're going to go to a bank and say, okay, we need the other half. Here's our business plan. Here's why it's going to work. Here's what the theme of the gym is going to be. Here's what we want to do with it. Here's what the sound system is going to be. We already got our entire sound system. It's all vinyl records. It's going to be the old school bodybuilding experience. All right, brother. So contest prep. We are both. You're smoking weed right now, I see. Oh, that's a vape, isn't it?
Oh, well, this is just a regular nicotine vape, but but yeah, I also got this handy.
Yeah. So what's that one?
This is Pineapple Express.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's nice. It tastes pretty good too.
I like how the different smoking marijuana is a fairly recent thing for me, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe after contest prep. But I like how the flavors are always like creamsicle and like wedding cake, like,
Right, just some because I remember speaking to a vendor, and half the time they said they just make up the fucking names. They just literally make it up half the time. Like if it's something that doesn't make sense, like let's say for example, Durban Poison and Fruity Pebbles, right? If they when they crossed, like I had one strain where they crossed it and they called it um Durban Pebbles or something, which that makes sense. But like some other strains, they'll just come up with a whole new name that's not even like that has nothing to do with the names that's in it. Like for example, um like purple punch, and I think I don't know, I think haze or something. Um it creates a strain called Northern Lights, like when you combine them. So it's random. They just have these random fucking names. It's pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I don't know any of the terminology in it or anything. Like when I go into the shop, I'm like, okay, look, here's why I'm taking this. What do you recommend? And at least the names help you remember which one is which. I'm like, okay,
Right, right.
this
Especially if you know strain names, it kind of helps you kind of gauge what you like.
mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I'll talk about it because I literally became a pothead because of my prep back in 2019. So I'll explain like how I pretty much
Just
like
go ahead and do that. Yeah, tell the story, man. I'm super curious.
um well this was 2019 for my prep for the Mr. Long Island show. And I mean, I was already smoking weed at this point, but honestly, it got to a point where I want to say 5 weeks out, 6 weeks out, I had to really crash diet because I was falling a little behind. So I was having hunger pains like a motherfucker at night. Like I literally was not able to sleep no matter what I did. I would even take like I don't know if you heard of this a sleep aid called Somatomax. It's by
No.
like high tech pharmaceuticals, whatever. That's a really good one. I've used it a bunch of times. I would even like triple scoop it sometimes, and still I wouldn't be able to fall asleep. Or,
Wow.
granted, I'm sure like a lot of the stimulants I was on didn't help either. But
Yeah.
come on, that should help. I would mega dose melatonin, none of that. So
What was your
I would
caffeine
just smoke a
intake?
bunch of shush. And I definitely wouldn't suggest this to anybody,
Yeah.
especially if you're like especially if you're more in the beginning stages as a competitor. Um, I was on, and this is all the stimulants. I was on up to 80 micrograms of Clen. I was taking 4 tabs
Oh, that clan
of
will keep you up.
Prim-
You.
oh yeah, I was taking 4 tabs of Primatine a day, which is ephedrine. And I think each tab is 12 and a half milligrams. So I was taking 50 milligrams of ephedrine a day. Um, I was drinking a coffee and or a bang like 3, 4 times a day. I would have my fat burner, which would have like 300 mgs of caffeine plus like some uh,
Whoa.
synephrine, bitter orange, which is fuck. Something in bitter orange. Think it's ephedra, but I'm not sure. Um, and and then I was also on there was one more thing that I'm forgetting, but yeah,
But I mean,
I was
just
on
your
a bunch of
caffeine
other
alone,
stuff.
I'm doing the math in my head right now. That's at least north of 1,200, if not close to 1,500 milligrams without the
Oh,
clan and
just for
everything
stimulants,
else.
yeah. And it's crazy because and I felt like I really needed it at the time just because I was crash dieting. So I had no energy for literally anything. My fats were as low as like 20, 25 grams. And I was just doing fish, asparagus. The most fats I would have would be maybe half a tablespoon of peanut butter. But that was like it. So it wasn't a fun prep.
Yeah. That's
But yeah, so
that's
it
pretty
was
much what my
yeah,
first
because of
prep was
the
like too.
yeah, like because of the weed, it really just helped me fall asleep. So obviously the stems definitely didn't help, but my stomach was just like it like going back just thinking back at it, it was really bad. So I would even chug like half a gallon of water. I'd almost make myself throw up just because of how much I would drink. And and still like my stomach would just feel completely empty.
Yes.
So just I would just smoke a bunch and I'd pass out.
So did the smoking ramp up your appetite at all? Like everybody talks about having the
So
sweet munchies or whatever.
So yeah, that's the thing. It entirely depends on what strain you're smoking. The strains I was smoking at the time didn't affect my appetite at all.
Really?
But also, I don't know. Like I feel like after a while, when you smoke so much weed like I do, because I smoke a lot, you don't really get much of an appetite from it. Like you don't get the munchies like that when you
Huh.
just when you've just been smoking a lot.
Which ones in particular don't ramp up your appetite? Because appetite is my biggest problem when it comes to prep, like everybody.
Definitely sativas. I want to say strains like Durban Poison, ATF or Alaska Thunderfuck. That's what it's called. Um, let's see.
That's all that I personally smoke is sativa, and I have not noticed it to increase my appetite at all personally. As a matter of fact, I like to smoke it like when I am hungry because it just mellows me out. And I wonder if it's like, if there's like a deeper psychological thing to where the hunger isn't really like your body needs food. The hunger is you're stressed out. And so food is what is your coping mechanism for that. And so at the end of the day, when like I grew up never ever smoking pot. I would never ever do that. That should be illegal. That's terrible. Like, why would anybody do that? It's a gateway drug. That's literally what I believed about it. And then I tried to cut alcohol at the start of this prep because I'm doing keto. Keto is like the one diet that alcohol does not work with at all.
Right.
You can't do alcohol and the ketogenic diet. I mean, like maybe you can, but if you want everything going for you, it's not wise, and it certainly doesn't help being in ketosis. And so I started smoking specifically sativa here and there because I want to relax. I don't want I don't want to be stupid. I don't want to like not be able to think. And like I read the Bible for like an hour every night before I go to bed. And that's literally how I unwind. But having just like two really good hits is really all I need. I mean, I'm pretty lightweight and pretty new to this, but it's just gotten me to chill out, to relax, and then I can just eat the meals that I planned on eating, and I can go to bed, and I wake up the next morning feeling great. And it's like, okay, like maybe it's not the healthiest habit, but I don't see any downsides yet. I mean, I'm not drinking alcohol anymore. I'm staying on my diet better than I have before. My sleep's better. My joints feel better. I'm like, what's the problem?
And that's the thing, because a lot of people, like, they're not able to really do that. You know what I mean? Like smoking weed always helps, but there's a lot of people where it just makes them fucking lazy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Or like they're just extremely lightweight. So when they smoke or have an edible or whatever the case is, it'll just be too much, and it'll just be too high, you know? So there's definitely a like those downsides depending on the person. But at this point, especially with me, I I don't know. I feel like I have some form of like undiagnosed ADHD or something, just because uh when I'm sober, my mind pretty much just doesn't shut the fuck up. Like, it also affects my sleep as well, just because when I lay down in bed, there's a million and one things I'm thinking about in a span of like 5 seconds. So when I smoke, whether it's before bed, whether it's before I train, whether it's first thing in the morning, it really just helps me uh have that tunnel vision focus, to just focus on what I need to do, what I'm whatever I'm trying to focus on. So
Yeah. So you smoke before you go to the gym. Like I just, maybe I just haven't tried what you tried, but when I smoke, man, like the last thing that I'd want to do is work out. And like I can work, and so I'll do like my Skullbellz shop and like make like my dumbbells and curl bars and do that kind of stuff. As long as I haven't had too many hits, because then I start making mistakes and ruining stuff. And the dog's on watch duty too, so I'm not like worried about strangers coming up during to the shop at night. But the last thing I would ever do is work out after a hit, personally.
try to have some pre-workout before, and then hit like because there's a
Okay.
lot of specific sativas that do, because there's not all sativas make you energetic or paranoid, and not all indicas make you sleepy and want to eat everything, you know um so make sure, if you're gonna have a sativa, if you're gonna smoke a sativa before the gym, make sure it's like a really energetic one. So like something like a Durban Poison or Alaska Thunderfuck or like a Pink Lemonade. Those are strains that are good for that thing, for that
Yeah.
taste.
At this point, I definitely want to just keep it to an every other day thing and not be smoking before workouts unless I
Right.
really run out of ideas. Just gonna be honest.
Well, right, yeah.
This is good stuff, man. We've never talked about these this kind of stuff on our show before, so this is good. This is really, really good, man. I'm loving this. All right, so this contest prep, we are both 19 weeks out, are we?
18 and a half, but about the same, yeah.
Yeah, cool. So what's that look like for you, man? What's the next 19 weeks gonna consist of for you?
Well, I have a coach, so honestly, and this is Kronos over here. You haven't met her, but
I didn't know you have a kitty.
I have two cats. This is
Oh,
Chronos. She's my Siamese
hey, Kronos.
Siamese pretty girl. You see her? She's very pretty.
Oh, I
She's
used to
very
have a
talkative
Siamese
too.
cat named Snowball.
Ah, yeah, she's a sweetheart. She loves me. She always just anytime I'm just sitting here, she tries to find an opportunity to just come sit in my lap, and that's
They have
exactly
a
what she's
very
doing now.
distinctive meow. It's like when a Siamese cat meows, you can tell that it's a Siamese.
Yeah, yeah, it's hilarious. It's really cute.
Yeah, beautiful cats.
Um, but yeah. So as far as what the next 19 weeks is looking like, I'm honestly not really sure, just because last year for my prep I coached myself, so I kind of had to plan for like each week as it went on. But currently I'm honestly not really sure. Like I've never been as lean as I am at like so far out from a show. So I can't imagine my food is gonna get lowered anytime soon. If the only thing that would I could really see as far as like more of a deficit would be my cardio increasing, but I'm only on 15 minutes fasted every morning. That's pretty much it.
That's all your cardio?
Um yeah, just 15 minutes fasted every morning. Nothing post workout unless like because some days I like to do cardio after I train, so I'll just do like 5 minutes, 5 to 8 minutes on a treadmill just for a little cool down because honestly just like the way it makes me feel.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing about 50 minutes of cardio a day. But
50.
yeah, but it's not even really to cut. It's literally just because I'm a full-time coach. I don't have a day job. Like this is my job. So I have a
You do
lot
it
that
to
I
fill
need
in
to
your
do.
time pretty much.
Well, I have a lot that I need to do on my iPhone. I'm doing phone calls all the time, and it's like I'm not just gonna sit around. And I love to eat, and so the more cardio I do, the more I can eat, and so it's working.
I
uh,
mean, I I mean, yeah, because if you look at guys like Ronnie Coleman and like whatever, like a lot of the guys that Chad Nichols used to train back in the day, he would give them 2 hours plus of cardio.
mhm.
And the whole reason for that, like during their prep, and the whole reason for that would just be for the simple fact that they could eat more.
Yeah, that um, and I like it. I like the way it feels. I feel like it helps my recovery. I don't go crazy. I go warm up is always today was a longer warm up, but typically it's Zion and I go for a run in the morning, and it's just a light, easy jog. I'm just listening to usually David Guzik. He's one of my favorite pastors, and whatever I studied the night
Mhm.
before, I wake up and pray on it, meditate on it, go for a run, listening to that. And it's more for the dog, really. I know running's catabolic on the legs, and so that's why I literally cap it off at just a mile every single morning. It's good for me, good for her. I mean, she's so routine, thrives on routine, needs a routine. So if we don't
Right.
do that, she's kind of a pest the rest of the day. As long as every day is consistent, then that really helps. And
Plus,
then
she's an Aussie. You need to get that energy out, right?
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. I mean, you've seen it, you've experienced it firsthand. And then come into the office, have a keto coffee and like my supplements and stuff, and kind of like sip on pre-workout. And then when it's about time to work out, 15 minutes on the treadmill at 2.8 miles per hour, 15-degree incline. That'll just like kind of get me a little sweaty. And then the workouts right after that. And then post workout is pretty much always 20 minutes on the stairmill unless it's leg day. And then it's just treadmill. No stairmill after leg day.
Mhm.
But I just like it. I just feel like it helps. It helps recover, helps unwind after the workout. Like I'm always in a super sympathetic state right after a workout, and so it's just like helps me unwind. You know.
Um, Honestly, I'm not even a big fan of the Stairmaster. Like, I
Really?
used to do the stairs pretty religiously, but now, especially since my prep for 2019, I stopped doing cardio on the stairs just for the simple fact that, especially if you're doing like a lot of cardio, they really flatten out your legs. Like, especially if you're training your legs hard throughout the week. Let's say you're training it more than once a week. Like if you're doing it twice a week and you're doing the stairs, depending on the person, obviously, it really flattens your legs out. Like me, it definitely flattens my legs out.
Huh.
Whereas if I just stick to the bike or the treadmill, or I just walk outside because I like doing that for more cardio too, um, then then I notice like my legs are a lot fuller and rounder as opposed to doing the stairs.
Really? That's really interesting. You say, do you pump your legs on like show day or for photo shoots or whatever?
No, not at all.
Okay, I don't either. I guess I'm just kind of confused because never really heard of people saying that their legs can be flat or full. I mean, my legs are always just my legs, and it's pretty much just the muscle I'm looking at. Like if I get a pump, I don't really notice the difference, and all that does is take away from the pump of my upper body. And I don't know, I feel like I've been bottom heavy most of my life, and so I'm always just trying to get the upper body pump, and then legs are usually okay or halfway decent.
Well, with the legs, like the main thing is like trying to have the lines be as deep as possible, right? On
Yeah.
stage. So if you have a pump in them, like especially if you're like 2 weeks out and you're shredded, you'll notice when you train your legs for the last time, like before you train your legs or your legs that morning is gonna be the best they looked. And then post workout, they're gonna look fuller, they'll look bigger, but they won't have as deep of lines or detail just for the simple fact that there's a bunch of blood and water in them because of the training. So yeah, like before a contest, no legs at all. Like because you're gonna retain a bunch of water in your legs. You want all the lines as possible that you can get in your legs when it comes to showtime.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. How many calories a day are you eating right now?
Honestly, I don't fucking know. Uh, but when I since I'm not coaching myself, I really don't want to think of like not that I don't want to think about it, but it's in terms of like calculating what I'm doing, I pay someone to do that. So
Wow.
um because it's just extra effort and time that I'm putting into something that I don't need to because someone else already did.
Whoever his
So
coach is, he's doing a hell of a job. Do I know him?
probably well his name is Blue Taylor. That's my coach.
Okay.
And he does a lot of well he's I want to say he's definitely like a more top level coach.
Huh.
He's not on the level of like Hani Rambod or Chris Aceto, but he's definitely up there in terms of how good he is. He's coached guys on the Olympia stage. And one thing when it comes to finding a coach that I find extremely important, especially if you're paying them, and especially when it comes to taking hormones, then you want to make sure that these guys are good at what they do. So I'm all about the resume, and so is Blue.
Mhm.
So literally, if and this goes for anybody when it comes to like trying to find a coach. Literally, if you're interested in finding someone to work with, or if you're interested in a particular person, go to their tagged photos on Instagram because their clients are always going to tag them in their check-in photos or their post-workout pictures or whatever they post, right? So literally and you could see we all have eyes and you'll be able to tell if if their clients look good or not. So and that's a good and you make that judgment call from there whether you want to work with them or not based on their clients because at the end of the day if their clients don't look good how do you expect to be the one person that looks good out of like their 20 clients. So um so like I said, track record is everything, resume is everything, and Blue is bar none like uh a top level guy, especially when you look at a resume.
Wow. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with everything you said too. So he gives you a meal plan, but no macros. Like he just tells you exactly what to eat and like how much like to weigh of your different foods.
Exactly, exactly. Because I mean, you could call it a bro diet, you could call it whatever you want. Personally, I'm not a fan of like mixing it up every day and having if you're craving something one day, like if you're craving turkey over chicken one day, then like switch it up. No, like whatever your meal plan is whatever your meal plan is
Exactly.
all of that really affects your digestion, especially when it comes to a prep.
Yep.
And it's only been over the last couple of years I really noticed digestion plays a huge role when it comes to physique development, how you look, stage time. It plays a huge role.
Oh,
So
totally.
yeah, so you want to make sure whatever foods agree with you, you stick with it, and that's it. The only thing that's going to change is the amounts.
Hmm. What do your meals look like for a day?
Um, Meal one is 12 egg whites, 35 grams of whey, and 12 grams of peanut butter. And meal two is going to be 8 ounces of 99% ground turkey, and 240 grams of rice, 65 grams of blueberry. That's my pre-workout meal. I have an intro workout shake, which is just 25 grams of cluster dextrin, highly branched cluster dextrin. along with EAAs and some extra aminos that's good for like a pump. Post workout, I have uh 8 ounces of chicken and 220 grams of rice. Following that is going to be 9 ounces of 9 ounces of turkey with 100 and 130 grams of rice. Following that is going to be 8 ounces of chicken and 185 grams of rice. And the last meal is going to be 65 grams of whey and 8 grams of peanut butter.
Wow. You like your peanut butter, huh?
Oh, I love peanut butter.
Doesn't agree with me, man. It gives me gas every time. Let me put it. I like
Really?
I like eating peanut butter. My wife does not like it when I eat peanut butter.
Right.
You mentioned EAAs, essential amino acids. That's something that I'm kind of new to the science on, the difference between that and BCAAs. Do you know who Robert Sykes is, the keto savage?
No.
He is the most, he is the guy for keto natural bodybuilding. This guy is, yeah, he's extremely well known. I think if you followed him, just the keto savage, you would love his content. But he's a pro. And he does a complete ketogenic contest prep approach. All of his clients do, and that's what I'm doing and coaching our clients on. His supplement list is pretty minimal, even in terms like it's basically just creatine monohydrate and then maybe one or two other things. And but EAAs is something that he's actually a pretty big advocate towards. I'm just wondering what benefits you see in taking those.
Well, I mean, if you look at BCAAs versus EAAs, EAAs literally have BCAAs in there. It's literally just leucine, isoleucine, and valine, and then the EAAs you have the others. I believe it's 7 or 8 EAAs, and those three are going to be part of that. And I mean, just when you look at the science of it, it's basically like the difference between having I don't know. The best analogy I could think of would be like having regular gas versus premium, you know? So, and another thing is too, is when it comes to muscle recovery, if you're just going to have BCAAs, you're not getting, it's not as efficient as it can be just because you're not getting the other aminos that you need. You're just getting 3. Whereas with the EAAs, you're getting the rest that you need. And they're called essential aminos because those are the aminos that make up your muscle cells.
I'm actually drinking that literally right now, so I'm super glad that you said that. I have an even bigger smile on my face.
Well, not even just your muscle cells, literally everything in your body, your skin, your hair, your nails. Like, for example, like if you eat a ton of protein, like for example, my off season, my hair. Granted, I was on a bunch of tren as well, but my hair, my beard hair, my body hair, my nails would grow like a lot faster because I was on 10 ounces of protein per meal. So yeah, they would grow a lot faster than they normally have.
That's super interesting. Is there a reason as to why having an amino acid, a good amino acid supplement mid workout would be advantageous as opposed to just like, hey, like you're hitting your protein requirements for the entire day? Doesn't that have everything that you need?
Well, if you're someone who's a competitor and you're on top of your shit every day, then yeah, there's a huge benefit just because it makes your training a lot more efficient. Because I'm not going to try to pretend I know the science or anything, but I remember seeing an article saying like you most of your energy that you have for that workout session gets depleted within like the first like 30-40% of it. So whereas when you have a combination of carbohydrates and essential aminos, then it puts you in a more anabolic state. And if you have something like a highly branched cluster dextrin, which is a very fast absorbing carbohydrate, and it doesn't sit in your stomach like dextrose would, or like there's another one, like waxy mace, like those sit in your stomach, you know, like those type of carb powders. Since it absorbs really fast, then it's not going to affect your digestion at all. It's just going to go straight towards muscle recovery. So in the process, giving you a pump, helping you with your vascularity, and just overall your performance in terms of training. So you can train harder, pretty much. Thing, if you're
Okay.
a competitor and on top of your shit, then yeah, it's very necessary. But if you're someone who's you miss meals all the time, you know, you're supposed to eat 6 meals a day, but you most of the time eat four just because you don't have time or whatever, or you bullshit your workouts when you know you could be doing a lot more, then no, aminos is the last thing you should be thinking because you don't need that. What you would need is like a pre-workout or something to like bust your ass in the gym, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a
That's
because
really
like when it
well
comes
said.
to
I've
supplements,
always
it's all about
viewed.
priorities.
Mhm. What was that cluster dextrin or something that you described?
Highly branched cluster dextrin.
Okay. The product that I'm looking at right now has glycodextrin in it. That must be different. But
Um, the yeah, like one product I take is I forgot the name of it, but it's by the company Axe and Sledge. They have a really good cluster dextrin product just because it's also got a bunch of other aminos and stuff like that in it and a bunch of hydration stuff. But the main purpose of it would be the cluster dextrin
okay.
or the cyclic dextrin, excuse me.
They might just be interchangeable terms too. Well, cool. And by being on top of your shit, what you mean by that is you're you're not missing workouts, you're not missing meals, and you're pushing yourself as hard as you can. Certainly not under training, maybe even overtraining. Those are the kind of people that, if anything, will see some benefits from taking a product like BCAAs. Other than that, it's just like, dude, it's not even workout. Let's just make sure that you're like actually in the gym and eating your protein.
Because
And
at
like,
that point, drinking aminos is just extra calories that's unnecessary.
yeah, that's always the category that I've put it in. The way that I've described things like, I mean, like if you ever taken like myostatin inhibitors and like laxagenin and like some of those. Okay, yeah. So I mean, you know, those branched chain amino acids, EAAs, on and on and on. It's all these supplements that promise better gym performance, better recovery. There's merit to it. I notice difference when I notice a difference when I take these products, but like to your point, I'm literally pushing the envelope the absolute hardest that I actually can. My diet is spotless. I know exactly what I'm eating, and I'm checking my physique every single day, making sure that everything's on point. So like I will notice these subtleties, and maybe it makes me like 1% better. Okay, is it worth $40 for a month's supply of something to be 1% better? For me, it is. You know, like for the average person, maybe not. But that's up to you.
And that's the point I was gonna get to. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Is I mean, there's only like a couple essential supplements that you really, really need if you're just trying to build your physique. And if you train hard, then yeah, these are definitely gonna work. Anything else is just gonna be extra, you know, just for the fun of it. So like definitely whey protein isolate, you know, I specify that just because
Not
uh
concentrate.
right, exactly. Just because concentrate full of lactose. Most people nowadays are lactose intolerant, and if you aren't, then you're gonna be one, especially if you're a bodybuilder. So, um, so whey protein isolate, a multivitamin because that's very necessary. Creatine monohydrate because there's a bunch of different creatines out there. There's a bunch of new studies and everything. Creatine monohydrate works 5 grams every day. Um, and essential aminos, and that's literally it. Anything else, and maybe pre-workout if you need it, but that's those five. You know what I mean?
I
And
agree.
then anything like nitric oxide boosters, myostatin inhibitors, um, fat burners,
Creatine is a
all
myostatin inhibitor.
well, yeah,
Did you
yeah,
know that?
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Things like laxagen, products like laxagenin and shit like that.
Okay. I like laxagenin because because of nutrient partitioning. So like if I'm on the Steroid, it actually does help with my cortisol suppression, and so that's one of the benefits that I see in it. But when people say like, oh no, it's just like you're taking a cycle with Anavar or something. No, it's not. Like,
No,
it is a natural plant extract, and you might see some benefits at best. It's $55. Take it or leave it. You know, I'm not gonna push
exactly.
it, but do I take it? Yeah. And does it help? Yeah.
And that's the thing, and that's exactly what I was gonna get to after my little supplement list is when it comes to us as competitors is if a product makes you 0.5% better, 1%, 2% better, then it's, in my opinion, it's all fucking worth it, you know? Because I mean, if you look at my cabinet, I literally have over 30 something pills I take every day,
Me
and
too.
it's not even pharmaceuticals, it's actually like health supplements. So
Yep,
if it's gonna make you 1% better, then it's 100% worth it.
totally.
But if you're not on top of everything, if you're not pushing hard, if you're not doing all that, then it's very unnecessary.
Yeah. What other supplements do you take? I'm sure you take like fish oil, vitamin D, being in the Pacific Northwest and stuff.
Yeah, so it's a whole fucking laundry list, but I take like over 3 grams of omega-3 fish oil, um, astragalus, bitter melon, berberine. I take a probiotic, um, vitamin K2, D3,
Yep.
uh, extra vitamin C. I take extra zinc. Um, I take magnesium before bed. I also take a bunch of brain supplements as well. So I take Bacopa. Bacopa is a really good herb. Lion's mane, I love. I also take mushroom. I'm also a huge fan of mushroom products, and I really think they genuinely work, especially for what they want to do. But you only have to get a couple specific brands, just because most brands of mushroom products out there is basically bullshit. Especially working in the supplement industry, when it comes to mushroom products, you need to have micronized mushrooms in order for it to be bioavailable. And a lot of these companies don't have micronized mushroom product in their actual capsules. I also take a Garicon mushroom. That's another one. Um, oh, and then I also take propranolol, which is a beta blocker. I take that every day, if not every other day. And what that does is slow your heart rate down. For this one is a 4 to 6 hour half life. I take that as well.
I think that I take pretty much everything you're saying. There's a couple unfamiliar, like that last one that didn't ring a bell for me, but pretty
I'm
much.
really into pharmaceuticals, and people love to have their own opinion about this every time I mention it, but I don't have health insurance as a bodybuilder. Granted, do as I say, not as I do. Because you should have health insurance as a bodybuilder, because especially with what we do, shit can happen, you know. So you always want to make sure you're prepared for the worst. But I've had a bunch of experiences with doctors where I've been judged. Um, they just refuse to work with me. Uh, countless different things when it comes to me being very open about my steroid use. Because when it comes to you seeing a doctor, you 100% should be open and honest with what you do, because they're there to make sure you fucking live. You know what I mean? They're not there to make you stop your lifestyle, because when it comes to a fat diabetic person, they're not gonna they're not gonna make them stop eating ice cream and shit every day. They're just gonna give them extra medication to accompany that, to accommodate that, whether it's more insulin, metformin, whatever the case is. So um because I've been to so many doctors, either been turned away, judged, whatever. Especially since I started taking gear at 18, that's when I wanted to take it really serious in terms of my health. So that's when I really started getting blood tests done and all of that, getting panels done. And yeah, it, even to this day, it still happens anytime I go to a doctor. And granted, you got to know certain doctors, you got to know certain people. It's all about having connections. But at the moment, I don't have that. So what you do is settle for what you do have, which is my own fucking brain. And um, I love learning, you know, and I love taking the time to learn something on my own if I'm really interested in it. So, like pharmaceuticals, I love steroids. I love anything involving pharmaceuticals. So I learned I learned a lot about, especially with the last 2 years, with all the deaths of a lot of the people in this industry.
Mhm.
I learned that blood pressure is one of the leading causes to most of the shit that happens to us. So monitoring your blood pressure and controlling it now, when you're in the beginning of this journey, is much better than having to fix the damages that the blood pressure caused later on in life, like kidney damage, liver damage. You got to get a fucking uh, a stent put in your heart. You know what I mean? So is to avoid all that. That's why I try to learn what I can. So I ended up getting to the conclusion of, for example, taking propranolol every day post workout and or in the morning.
Wow. Yeah. The the blood pressure, that's something that I might have to convince you to get on the ketogenic diet. My blood pressure, bro, has been like, do you want to know how low it is? I got a story for you actually.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Try to make it quick. My dog's having a dream right now. I think she's chasing something. But okay, so this is a thing. Like, this is an actual thing that can be diagnosed. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I've heard this happening with other bodybuilders too. So my blood pressure when I get it tested is so low that it is. This is from just having a healthy lifestyle and being on a ketogenic diet, and not having any carbs. This is when my blood pressure started getting really, really low. My heart rate is resting heart rate is usually in the lower 40s, but it's lower than like what's even considered healthy. So if anything, it needs to be higher. But it only happens on contest prep. I don't know why. But every contest prep, I need to be aware of this. If I get up to pee in the middle of the night, I will pass out while I'm peeing standing up. And I've woken up with concussions like an hour later after crashing, and I can literally feel it happening. I'm like, I'm gonna faint, like I'm literally gonna pass out. And like my wife will hear a thump in the bathroom and she's like, oh, it happened. because she knows she's experienced first. Have you ever heard of that?
No, what the hell? That's
Yeah.
literally the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, because your blood pressure is so low when it's it's lowest when it's when it's nighttime, and when you urinate, it's very relaxing, and I can just feel it coming on. I'm like, all right, lights out. There's nothing I can do. So
Wow.
I've had, and then whenever I tell this story, it's not something that I'm like proud of or anything, but whenever I do tell the story, the suggestion that usually comes up is, why don't you pee sitting down? I'm like, that's part of my manhood that I'm just not willing to compromise. Like, I'll take the concussion.
Fuck that. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'm gonna say it very openly on here, man. You have no idea how many times I've sat down in the toilet to take a piss just because leg days, I've gotten up in the middle of the night and I just don't want to stand, or I don't like, most of the time in the middle of the night, I don't turn the light on in the bathroom to take a piss, because if I turn the light on, it's gonna wake you up a little bit, so just because it's a bright light, like immediately. So, and sometimes I have a little accidents on the toilet seat or on the floor just because I can't see the toilet, so I sit down.
Yeah.
And fuck that. Plus it's comfortable, you know what I mean? I see why. I see why it's so comfortable,
Usually I just go outside. I'm like, I fall down, it's just in the grass. the dog can go too at the same time.
That's what I do when my girlfriend's taking long in the bathroom, or if she's taking a shower. I just go out on the deck and just piss outside with Primo.
Yeah. Speaking of supplements, so does your coach do your drug protocol too, or is that like pretty much all on you?
He does everything. Training, drugs, cardio, diet, supplements.
Mm-hmm. So what's the difference between like a bulking stack for branded Bebo versus a cutting stack? Like, what does that look like for the next 19 weeks?
I mean, honestly, I haven't really even dabbled in like too many like different types of steroids. Like, I've never taken D-ball. I've never taken Deca. I have taken NPP, which is a short acting version of Deca, but not Deca itself.
Supposed to be like a drier version or something?
Nah, it's just a shorter half-life. It's pretty much like the difference between taking test prop versus test sit, So just a shorter half-life. But so I mean, especially with me, like, I don't know. Since the last couple of years, I've really been trying to pay attention to how fat I get in my off seasons. And with certain drugs, I definitely hold a lot more water. I'm definitely a lot more puffy. So just to prevent that, I stay away from certain drugs. not purposely, but I just kind of stick with what I know and with what works. But I'm a huge guinea pig, so I love experimenting. But I mean, currently my cycle is 150 milligrams of test and 150 milligrams of EQ every other day, along with 150 micrograms of T4 every day, and 4 IUs of GH every day, 2 in the morning, 2 before bed.
So that's 525 milligrams of test a week.
Well, since it's every other day, some weeks it ends up being um like some weeks end up higher than others. So one week it would be, I think, 450 is what it comes out to, and then the other week it'll be like 600.
And that's
Just because, like, yeah, 3 shots one week versus 4 shots the other week.
And that's a test prop.
Test E.
Test E. So that's like,
yeah. I'm not a big fan of test prop at all. I always get lumps whenever I take it, and then I always just feel extra like inflamed whenever I take it.
So that's like a gram, 1,500 grams total, like everything when you add it all up per week.
No, it's definitely way less than that. For now at least, just because the GH and the T4, they definitely don't add up to be that much.
Okay. Right on. So is that going to be like consistent all the way up, or are you going to cycle off of EQ?
It's definitely going to switch up. Like, I'm sure that like after 6 weeks, the EQ is going to get switched to something like, I don't know, maybe Tren or Primo. And then something like Tren and Masteron is going to get added on later on in like prep, like around 8 weeks or something.
Are you worried about your sleep getting back on trend?
Not at all. Just because I honestly just took off a bunch of hours from one of my jobs, so I have a lot more free time. So because before, my sleep was an issue during my off season, just because I was just working so much. I would work a morning shift, and then I would work an overnight shift at the club, and my morning shift would literally be in like 3 hours after my night shift at the club. So so my sleep was pretty all over the place and sporadic and really shitty. But now it's definitely a lot better. It's a lot more consistent. I still take my naps throughout the day if needed.
Mm-hmm. Anti-estrogens, just like a Arimidex, I'm guessing.
Currently none.
Oh, really?
Yeah, currently none. I'm sure later on, as the prep goes on, they'll definitely be added. But for now, no.
Good stuff. Yeah, doesn't look like you have any side effects to me. So what are you doing?
I mean, it's funny too, because this is another thing. Like, I always tend to tell people because all right, so since I started using gear at such a young age, at 18, I say that's very young. I always like to use myself as an example, especially to guys who've never taken it, and younger guys, because there's just a ton of information out there. And one thing is, like, because there's so much information, it's almost like you can't really pinpoint what it is you want to fucking do, just because there's 10 different people telling you 10 different things when you just want to do your first cycle. Because it's all genetics when it comes to how you process steroids and everything, because everybody's different. At the end of the day, bodybuilding is just a game of genetics. Those who have the best genetics and works the hardest is going to be everybody. So I definitely noticed, especially looking back, going through puberty, that's a very good way of telling like how you'll process gear for the first time. Just because if you look back at puberty, like if you look at me, for example, I got a ton of acne. I got really chubby, and I was just horny all the time. Just a bunch of random boners. So, and that's definitely what happened the first time I started my cycle. Like, I got a bunch of acne. I got a little bit puffier, and I was like horny all the time. So it's a really good way of determining like how you may react to steroids for the first time,
Yeah. Looking back, are you glad that you started at 18, or do you kind of wish that you would have given a little bit more time?
Well, I live my life with no regrets at all. I wish I knew more back then, but at the end of the day, no, I'm glad I wish I could have, like, if I knew more, I wish I would have started earlier.
What's the biggest consequence? I mean, you're 23 right now.
Yes, sir.
What's the biggest consequence, if any, that you've experienced from all of this?
Well, the biggest consequence was for me making a stupid mistake, which is never to mix a water-based compound with an oil-based compound in the same syringe. You always do those in separate shots. I knew this at the time, but I wasn't thinking. It was first thing in the morning. I had a flight then like that day because I was going to actually the Arnold in 2019. I remember it was Wednesday night. I was doing this shot, and I had a flight literally that morning. So I just wanted to hurry up and go to bed so I could wake up early for this flight. So it was a shot of Test, Masteron, and Winstraw. Test and Masteron, those are the oil-based compounds. Winstraw is a water-based compound. So, and with Winstraw, you have to shoot it every day, right? If you're not taking it orally, you have to shoot it every day. So since I shot it every day, I was running out of spots to put it in. Like I already did my shoulders. I already did like my ass. I did my lats already. So I figured, and I've done my legs once. I don't ever want to do my legs again. So I figured, there's an open spot in my calf. So I shot my calf with a 3 cc's, and nothing happened. It all like it clumped up a little bit, but it all went in there like no problem. The next morning, I remember my calf being really red, but it didn't really hurt. I just remember it being really red, and there was a lot of heat coming from it. So I just took a bunch of ibuprofen, whatever. That night, that Thursday night, like after the flight, by the time I'm in Ohio, this is during the meet and greet, the athletes meet up or whatever, like before the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking around that venue. First of all, when I looked at my calf, it was as big as my quad. Like it swelled up so much. And I remember limping everywhere. Like I was literally limping everywhere. Um, I went to the pharmacy. I got like a bunch of NSAIDs, so like Tylenol, ibuprofen. I was popping those like every 30 minutes. I bought like an extra strength like Ben Gay. I was applying that like every 10 minutes. And I was just limping everywhere. And then, I guess just taking the NSAIDs, the just like killed a lot of the inflammation. So after I want to say by that like Sunday, it was like perfectly fine. Like my calf was back to normal, but I remember it was really bad. Like even that Thursday night when my friend and I were trying to train shoulders, I couldn't stand up to even hold a cable or a dumbbell or anything. Like he had to pass me the dumbbells while I did presses with them and lateral raises. But after that, I couldn't do anything with the cables. I said, yo, like I can't. So let's just go back to the room. So I want to say that's the biggest consequence I've had, and it's just for me making a stupid mistake.
Oh my gosh.
And honestly, and that's the thing, man. Like when it comes to taking gear, just know what you're doing. Just don't be stupid, Like steroids can't fucking kill you. Like you can inject an entire bottle of testosterone and nothing would happen. You know what I mean? Whereas you could swallow an entire bottle of vitamin C and fucking die. So just don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Just know what you're doing and know what you're getting into beforehand.
Yeah. You've been cycling off and your testosterone is fine when you're on your natural phases, I imagine.
Yeah, it's not like I get blood work done to tell me, so I don't have the numbers to go off of. But honestly, I mainly go off of how I feel, and my sex drive is still normal. My mood is still normal. At this point, I don't cycle off. I like when I'm off, I just cruise on a mil of test a week, which is 250 milligrams most of the time. Because basically, especially learning a lot about androgens and how they affect you, I definitely noticed that it's more detrimental to your health overall in the long term if you're just on and off.
Oh, really?
versus yeah, versus like granted, you want to give your receptors a break, so you want to come off at some point, even if that means you're taking like 100 milligrams of testosterone a week, because you just want to get back to your natural levels. But when you come off cycle, your shit's gonna crash. Like it's no matter what, it's gonna crash. Even though you're taking your PCT, your test is gonna crash, and then it takes time for it to build back up. Whereas, and then as men, you can't have low testosterone because that affects us physically, mentally. That just affects our overall health.
Yeah.
So when you stay, even if it is at that baseline level, and then eventually it goes up just because you're on a blasting cycle, but then like you're off, so it goes down to that base level. It's for lack of a better term, healthier in the long run. At least based on my knowledge. I'm not gonna like I said, I'm not a fucking doctor. I'm not an endocrinologist. And nor am I a dietitian. I'm just going off of call it bro science if you want. But just trial and error.
Hey everybody, this is Colt. Thus concludes part 1 of the conversation with Brandon and Primo. And now I'm sure you can see why I love this guy so much and why we've become such good friends. So that being said, our video editor, WeVideo, just for the record, I have no affiliation with these guys, but this is a super good video editor. I absolutely love it. Everything's on the cloud. So if you're looking into getting into podcasting or YouTube or whatever, WeVideo, can't go wrong with it. I've been super, super happy with these guys. The customer care is pretty on top of it whenever I have an issue. And one of the issues has been not being able to make like 3-hour podcasts. And there's a 2-hour limit. So we recorded over 2 hours and I was just halfway through. Brandon and I both had to pee. And I was like, you know what? This is a good stopping spot. Let's start the next conversation right now. So next one, we're going to be talking about training dogs and basically everything that we said that we were going to cover on the front end of this show, we'll cover in the next episode with him. So make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. If you're on YouTube, it's Skullbellz TV. We're also on I'm pretty sure every single audio platform. That's iTunes, that's Spotify, that's iHeartRadio. You can find the supersetyourlife.com podcast basically anywhere. So if you found value in it and if you liked it, please share it with a friend. That's our goal right now, is just to keep growing this podcast organically. We're not doing any paid advertisements. We haven't done any paid anything right now. Everything has been 100% just people sharing the channel. So think of one person that you know that would benefit from this, and please do us a solid, do them a solid if you think they would enjoy it, and text them the link so that they can listen to this show. All right. So I thought that we would just put the customer reviews and announcements on the end of this episode. I don't know why. Just trying something different. So instead of in the front end, I just kind of wanted to get right into it. And I hate it when I listen to somebody else's podcasts and they interrupt it in the middle with announcements and whatnot. So I thought it'd be a good idea to put them on the end. Yeah, if you want to hear what's going on at supersetyourlife.com, great. Stick around. If not, I'm not going to be offended if you shut it off now and listen to the next one in your queue. So anyway, first very, very exciting announcement is an essential amino acid product. And this is perfect timing because Brandon and I literally talked about this on the show. I didn't plan it. It literally just came from him. And he answered some of my questions that I had about branched chain amino acids versus essential amino acids. So if you have been to our website, you know that we are fully supplied by Metabolic Nutrition, all-American made, top of the line bodybuilding supplement company. We don't do anything cheap. Our workout plans aren't cheap. Our meal plans aren't cheap. And our supplements aren't either. We want everything to be top of the line. You know, if it's going in my body and if I'm recommending that other people take it too, it's going to be the best of the best. And that's why we absolutely love Metabolic Nutrition. They've been great to us. The CEO and the salesman that I work with, they're just like, they'll bend over backwards anytime we need anything. They back everything with a 100% guarantee. So, and he is actually messaging me right now. All right. What does Jay say? Cool. So yeah, glycodextrin is a form of, I'm looking at my DM conversation with him right now. I asked him, is glycodextrin the same as cluster dextrin? Because I don't know. I didn't know what this stuff is. I was extremely skeptical of this product, this particular essential amino acid product. If you're on YouTube right now, you can see me talking, and you can see me holding this delicious looking watermelon flavor essential amino acid. And if you are listening and not watching, then you can just maybe imagine in your mind's eye a delicious looking piece of watermelon that is actually essential amino acids, has all 9 of them. So I've been doing a whole bunch of homework on this stuff because Jay and the sales rep Jeff, both of these gentlemen sent me a free one of these and asked if I would make a review on it and tell what my experience is, specifically because I'm a bodybuilder on the ketogenic diet. The keto crowd and the vegan crowd, I know, kind of opposite ends of the extreme, seem to be people that benefit more from having essential amino acids because they don't have as much protein as someone that's following, like, you know, Brandon's diet, which we could call it like maybe like a bro diet, or like more like a standard bodybuilding diet, or like a carnivore diet, right? I am a carnivore. I'm not eating vegetables at this time, but my macros and everything that I'm doing is more what Robert Sykes teaches. It's very, very high fat, at least at this point. I'm only eating about 180 grams of protein a day. So during my workout, especially towards the tail end, my body, from all the research that I've done, it's been a lot these last few days, because I really, really wanted to make sure that I knew what this product was before I recommended it to anybody or even told anybody that we were going to start selling it, that it was beneficial and that it was working. So my experience so far has been, I've tested my ketones with my fancy dancy breath tone, ketone breathalyzer, medical grade. It's called BioSense. It's a $300 investment if you're on the ketogenic diet, especially if you're a bodybuilder. Super, super good investment, worth the money. And I can't remember what episode it was, but if you go back, probably 20 or 30 episodes ago, I interviewed the inventor of this product, and this guy is extremely smart. So you can go check out that one if you want. But anyway, I tested my ketones before and after this, and this does not mess up my ketogenic diet. It doesn't knock me out of ketosis. Even that form of sugar, which is called glycodextrin, cluster dextrin, basically the same thing. It's actually something that helps your body to metabolize branched chain amino acids and get the best bang for your buck, and so that they're doing their job. I'm going to be putting out more content, more education about this kind of stuff, but I'll try to keep it pretty brief and just explain what this stuff is while we're here on the show. And like I said, it's just perfect timing because Brandon was talking about it too, and I was like, great, I'll just kind of piggyback off of that and take a deep dive and reach out to the CEO that actually invented it. He's on the ketogenic diet too. Jay, if you go to Metabolic Nutrition's website and see the videos of the CEO explaining what all these products are, that's him. He's a super nice guy. Great. He's a dog lover too. So, you know, he's a cool guy. We talk about our dogs all the time. But yeah, cannot describe how blessed we are to be working with this company. So anyway, in a nutshell, I mean, I'm not going to read the entire label or anything. The label's all on our website. These Hydra EAA is the name of this product, and it is on our website at supersetyourlife.com. If you use the discount code, I'm going to make a note to put this in there, Hydra, HYDRA, you will save 10% off at checkout. I just made a note with a checkbox, meaning that is a task that I have to do before I publish this episode. All right, so if you go on our website, supersetyourlife.com, we have 3 flavors. We have watermelon, we have blue raspberry, which is my personal favorite on pretty much everything. It's the one that I'm drinking right now. And what's the other flavor? Watermelon, fruit punch, and blue raspberry. And they all have a little bit of a coconut taste too, which I personally love. That's one of the ingredients in it. I'll do another video with the entire breakdown of all the ingredients, and that'll come up on our YouTube channel once I get that done. But if you've been paying attention or following me a whole lot, you would know that in January I was in the hospital with a stomach ulcer from overwork, stress, a lot of life circumstances that were, just pushing the envelope pretty dang hard. Anyway, Stomach ulcer. So coconut water is something that helps with the stomach lining. And one of the best things I've noticed about this so far is every time that I drink, I just feel better. My stomach usually flares up like around kind of mid workout when I'm pushing myself hard and like I'm under a lot of stress. My body's under a lot of stress. My central nervous system's under a lot of stress. So having some coconut water in this supplement, I believe, has been something that's been helping. So anyway, that's pretty much it. It has, so it's got all your branched chain amino acids. There's 3 of them. It's got leucine, isoleucine, and valine. It also has all your essential amino acids in it. It has L-histidine, L-lysine, L-methionine. I don't know how to pronounce these. Basically, the rest of the essential amino acids are all in there. You can look and see it on the ingredient list in the back. So anyway, like I said, more content to come on that. That is our essential amino acid product. And personally, I'm taking it towards the tail end of my workouts. All right. Let's see. Deltoid Desolator. That is our, I'm going to finish this conversation here with Jay. Like I said, he literally just sent me this. So he said, glycodextrin. That's the one that Brandon was talking about. I didn't know what that was. So I made a note to research it a little bit. Glycodextrin is a form of cyclodextrin. I had to have a company make it for me special since Glyco Mitsubishi Ingredients don't make cyclodextrin anymore. It has a DE dextrose equivalent of 8 to 10, which makes it keto friendly. Okay, so that's why it's not making me out of ketosis. It doesn't spike insulin. Basically, it is a cyclical or circle emoji carbon chain which doesn't break down in the stomach. Rather, it passes through the intestine where it undergoes breakdown and digestion from the intestinal flora. Okay, that seems to be in line with what I was reading on the internet about cluster dextrin after Brennan and I were talking. After which it bypasses through the mucosal membrane into the capillaries and travels through the bloodstream to the liver, where it is readily and easily converted to glycogen without insulin secretion during this entire absorption process. Cool, huh? Okay, so basically it sounds like it kind of sounds like gluconeogenesis. It's a way to feed yourself glycogen, but without directly eating sugar and spiking insulin. If you've heard my teachings on the carnivore diet, why I like the high protein approach so much, you consume more protein than what you need. That protein gets converted to glycogen through a process called gluconeogenesis. So it's like having the best of both worlds of a high protein diet, of having a low carb diet and of having a high carb diet. Like you're still getting your glycogen, but you're not directly eating sugar. It's kind of like a hack. It's the best of both worlds. It's my favorite way to lean bulk, and I wanted to do this competition prep on it, but after reading Robert's book, I really got sold on the ketogenic approach again, which is very, very similar. So, all right, enough of that. Thank you very much, Jay. I will remember to message you back later, good sir. All right, so Deltoid Desolator. This is our cable attachment. This is just a client review. This man named David from Georgia purchased one off of our website. I have no idea how you heard about us, sir, but if you are listening to this, thank you and God bless you. Glad you're liking it. I saw he tagged us in a story, and so I said, how would you, and appreciate the tagging, brother. Anybody that's bought anything for our website, the more that you tag us, the more exposure we get. So it's super helpful. We really, really appreciate it, everybody. So I said, how do you like the rope, brother? He said, I love it, man. Takes the awkwardness out of the short rope, and the thinner weave is way better because of the finger placement. Way more control and movement. Oh, that's cool. I haven't had somebody compliment us on the actual feeling of the rope. And yeah, the rope that we use is more flexible. I've gone to more rope suppliers and like chain suppliers than I can count to be able to find a rope that is absolutely perfect for our cable attachments. If you don't know what it is, it's an extra long rope of cable attachment, so you're not like the asshole like me that used to be using 2 rope attachments every time I wanted to hit rear delts or like actually do something with a rope attachment, because the cheap ones that are at all commercial gyms, I'm just not a fan of. If you're a bodybuilder, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So that is our cable attachment that we invented. It's patented. It's got skulls on the end. It's badass. It's on our website. supersetyourlife.com, just like everything else. All right. So that is the customer review. And we got one more customer review too. I'm just going to hand it over to Megan right now. We did an exit interview with her. This is Megan Jones, and she is from Dallas, Texas, the Dallas area. And so we flew down and trained her in person. That's part of the package that she purchased. And got some great results. And we'd like to do an exit interview at the end of everybody's program, just talk about what we accomplished and everything. And so I recorded the entire conversation and took out a chunk of just a couple of nice things that she had to say about us. So anyway, here's that. And here's Megan.
I liked having all my macros kind of figured out for me, because before I was mainly just eating, ketovore, carnivore, but I wasn't really thinking about macros.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that. I liked having all my workouts figured out too. And I liked how they changed. Yeah, and I really liked that I was able to do a 6-day split. I didn't think I would be able to do that, but I really did enjoy that too. Of course, I liked the communication with you guys. That was very helpful. I feel like I was doing all of those exercises before training, but definitely with you got me to push myself a bit harder, like going heavy, especially like rows. Like I never, like an upright row, I would do it like a 10 pounds, right? And you're like making me do it, 25 pounds, because you're like cheat a little bit and things like that. Saw that myself a bit more.
Yeah, you are 10 times stronger than you think you are, Megan. And that was my whole goal with you and Michelle and everybody on that trip was, all right, we need everybody to realize how much potential you ladies really have.
But my husband, he has said, he's like, I can tell a change. So I'm like, okay, I guess it's just my eye.
Like looking at your shoulders right now, I can see a change in your shoulders. They look more muscular in a good way.
Cool.
All right, Megan, thank you so much for that. It's been an absolute pleasure. And the best way to get in touch with Taylor and me in terms of coaching is 206-743-1346. You can shoot me a text, 206-743-1346, or you can shoot me an email at colt@supersetyourlife.com. Also Instagram, that is @ColtMilton. And of course, Brandon's coaching, I would be remiss if I did not mention this. He has informed me that the best way to contact him is by his email address and by his social media handles. And so I'll put links to those in the show notes below. Thank you so much, everybody, again for listening. Wonderful rest of your day. God bless you. Bye-bye.